welcome to the Hobart Commuter. It's a blustery afternoon. I hope you can hear my voice through that wind. What I thought I'd do this evening was take you down through Melville Street and show you the completed UTAS student accommodation, the studio apartments. They just finished it. As I go there, what I thought I'd do, I'll just stay in this lane. What I thought I'd do was talk about clothing when cycling. Now that's going to sound a little uninteresting at first, but once we got some context, it might spice it up a little bit. All right, so the context. So the context is, there was a discussion recently, the head of the bicycle network, I can't remember whether it was the national or the state network, was on the radio. Basically the bicycle network are looking at revising their guidelines, I guess, on the use or the compulsory use of helmets. So whether or not it should be enacted in law that you have to wear a helmet as a requirement of riding a bike in, I guess, in Australia. So they put out a survey to survey members' thoughts on this. And the guy was talking on the radio. Now, interestingly, there are some quite compelling arguments for not wearing helmets, mostly on a societal point of view, so in the interest of benefits of health for society. And anyway, that's beside the point. I did another video on that, talking about whether or not that should be looked at and the pros and cons of both. But interestingly, while the guy was speaking on the radio, somebody texted in, and they were reading out text, of course, as they do, to get viewers involved. He was saying, they read out a text that said there should be mandatory wearing of high visibility vests for all cyclists. So it's an interesting argument, or an interesting statement at least, and I just want to interrogate that statement and see, mainly to see where I stand on it. Now, so I guess his argument was in the context of the helmet. So he was saying, look, if people are made to wear helmets, then they should be made to wear high-vis vests. So, full disclosure here, I wear a high-vis vest every time I ride. And I do that for a number of reasons. God, the wind is bad today. So the first reason is, look, you can see the flags on the town hall there, really cranking. So the first reason is, God, motorbikes are cool. So, okay, the first reason, I'll get to the first reason as soon as I get beyond these lights. Alright, so the first reason is, of course, obvious in the name. It's about visibility. Now, I honestly believe, particularly at night, that the high-vis vest has reflective surfaces, so it's useful in signalling to the car when their light kind of alights upon it, that it gives some, gives some reflective bits there. It gives out a reflection. The second reason, and this is more of an extension of the first, is again about visibility, and it's to do with something that in nature is called defense mimicry. Now, I did a video on this as well, but essentially trying to look like something that's more protected than you are, or perceived as more dangerous. So, for example, emergency services, law enforcement, road workers, these are all people who deal with hazards, if you like. And if you look like them, hopefully that'll put in the mind of the car that you should be treated with similar caution. To be honest, I think vests now on cyclists are so ubiquitous that that's probably losing some of its effect. Yeah. Now, the other reason is, now you can start to see the UTAS building there, these big UTAS studio apartments, so they'll come into better view as we close up. Now, the other reason is flat out superstition. It's kind of that old adage with the footballer and the footballer on a winning streak and the dirty jockstrap. So basically, the footballer wears the same jockstrap on his winning streak, wears it again and again, and he doesn't wash it for superstition. Now what I'm going to do here, because I'm just going to give you guys as good a view as I can. So just out to my right there it is. Look at that, all complete. Just a beautiful building. Just a stunning, stunning building. Hopefully you can see that. Better concentrate on the road again, I got a car behind me. Yeah, so I kind of feel like, you know, that I'm not sure how good a job the vest is doing, but I feel like the moment I take it off, I'm probably going to have an accident. And then I'll forever wonder whether the vest would have saved me. So there's a bit of superstition there, I think. But will the vest save you, for example? That's what I want to talk about, in part. Is the vest doing the job for which it's intended? Now, oh man, I'm working really hard. You obviously can't feel the wind being on the other side of the screen, but let me tell you, it's there. Good Lord, that was dicey. Yeah, so I put in a clip at the start of this video just to show you what can happen. Basically, people essentially look right through you. So that incidentally, that roundabout was the exact same spot I had the crash earlier this year, and the guy did exactly the same thing. So that woman in the white four-wheel drive, she doesn't just blow through every roundabout without looking. Okay, she'd either be dead or in jail by now. So she looked and looked down the end of the road that I was coming from. But the fact is, and any cyclist or motorcyclist will tell you, cars are looking for other cars. Okay, they don't see you. So even though she looked at me, she did not see me. So obviously the best way to behave on the road is to just assume that no one's seen you. And the thing is, I got my high-vis vest on, but it didn't make a difference. Now, of course, that's one instance in many. There could have been many instances where the high-vis vest has saved me. I just got no kind of empirical way to check that out. But so it comes back to this point. Do the vests matter? And if not, is there any benefit in actually not wearing them? Robert Hurst, in his book, The Art of Urban Cycling, which I've reviewed in another video, talks about the importance of cyclists who pioneer the roads. Pioneer. It's a bit of a wank book. It's designed to make you feel good about cycling. So, should those cyclists, or that he advocates that those cyclists should, they should wear, quote, normal clothes. And what he means by that is just everyday clothes that you get around in, and rather than things that kind of disassociate you from the everyday man. A couple of examples of this. So you see it less often now. I think when cycling, was at its peak, when it was a really kind of fantastic novelty, new form of transport. Hopefully you can still see the rain starting to come down a little bit now. People just wore everyday clothes. I'll give you two examples, one of a guy and one of a woman. And this is at the turn of the 19th century, or is it the turn of the 20th century? I don't know. Anyway, around 1900. And you can see what they're wearing, really classic, dapper kind of clothes, the kind of thing that people would have worn in the street. I'd argue, at least in Hobart, from my experience, that's much less common now to wear while you're riding on the bike, basically normal clothes. And the high-vis vest is an example of kind of transcending the normal and signifying to those who don't ride bikes that cycling is potentially quite a dangerous activity and one that needs safety equipment. Okay, so where does that leave us? Again, I don't know. It depends if you want an individualistic society, I think, or whether you have a kind of form of altruism towards your your large community or your small community, I guess it doesn't matter. Because to wear those kind of normal clothes might encourage more people to ride, and that might have some trickle-on benefits. More people on the roads means it's safer for you. But you have to be, I guess, in the words of Hurst, you have to be that pioneer, willing to take the risk in order to blaze the trail for other riders. Now I'm sounding like some kind of self-righteous cyclist, if I haven't already in every other video I've done. In any case, a point worth discussing, I think, this mandatory wearing a vest. It's kind of ridiculous, but it generates an interesting discussion and bleeds into, to some extent, this idea of mandatory wearing of helmets. All right, well, I'll come back for another look at that UTAS buttons. That was very quick. So we'll buzz by that again in another video. But in the meantime, I hope you're warm, somewhat warm when you're watching this. Man, it's shocking out here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.